They would never do this in real life, or would they? I had Ben Livingston when they declassified it 16 years ago, the former head of weather weapon program, who was able to create hurricanes, steer hurricanes, weaken hurricanes, kill hurricanes, you name it. In a 1967 Stanford research project, he'd already been able to do it a decade before. But here's more of the high-tech systems where they use electromagnetic radiation to ionize the storms and make them stronger or weaker or steer them. United States patent application number US 2003/00859296AI, published 2003, May 8th.
All right, my friends, no time to waste here. Did you know that the United States has multiple patents on how to steer and control hurricanes and tornadoes? Yes, this is very real and it's backed by sources, as well as our own NOAA website, which discusses weather manipulation and what steps you or I would have to take in order to do our own weather manipulation. My friends, this is no joke. Many people believe that weather manipulation was used for Hurricane Helene, then somehow coincidentally stalled over the rare lithium-producing towns of Western North Carolina, which is the exact location of the largest lithium deposit we have in the United States. Now, something to keep in mind while moving forward, ever since we left Afghanistan, we have lost the ability to mine lithium there, where most of it used to come from. Now we are stuck having to fill this insane demand we have for this lithium right here in the United States. Once again, the largest deposit being right over the towns that just got completely destroyed by this hurricane. Alright, so before I tie this all up with this lithium situation, this video you're looking at right now went super viral over the last few days. We have over 3 million views on this clip here, where we are talking about these weird anomalies that were taking place right before landfall of Hurricane Helene. There's a lot of controversy about what's going on here, but these things pointed directly to where we saw landfall. Not only that, but we saw some weird scalar looking beams in there, a lot of weird stuff that we were breaking down, and it's causing a lot of talk about this situation, which is the point here. We've already established that weather manipulation exists, but I want you to take a look at this website from 2007, my friends. That's 17 years ago. And it came out from the Telegraph. It says, "Scientists a step closer to steering hurricanes." Now, in this article, they explain how they are using technology in order to control, manipulate, and steer these types of storms, including tornadoes. So when you take things like this, and you also add these patents that have been out for decades, you begin to see a picture being painted of what is really going on. Now, this isn't to say that every bit of weather is manipulated and controlled. It means that they have the capability of doing this, and it's right in your face. Now, I can't say for sure that Hurricane Helene was controlled by this type of technology, but it certainly looked like it was, and it certainly did epic, record-breaking damage that we have not seen in any of our lifetimes. So this will come down to you making your own conclusions and taking the data and making your own educated decisions on what you're seeing. We are in a place in history where it's almost impossible to be able to trust our own media or government, and I don't need to go over explanations on why that is. So now that we have all these steps in place, think about the situation as a whole. This wild hurricane comes barreling towards Florida, and we suspected that once this thing got close to land, it would rapidly intensify, and that's exactly what it did. And in my opinion, the reason that happened is because once it got close enough to our NEXRAD radar towers, it was then able to be influenced, as I've shown in many videos. Alright, now finally, I just want to conclude with this. 1 year ago, almost to the day, as you can see in this article, North Carolina lithium mine to reopen with $90 million Pentagon order to help increase U.S. production. My friends, if this is not screaming to you right now, I don't know what else can. Just take a look at how much lithium we've used year to year up to 2024, and then once again ask yourself, what are the chances that this flood takes place in the biggest spot in the United States that we can even mine this stuff? My friends, the information's there, it's been there, and if you don't go check it out now, it might not be there forever. I appreciate you all. I'm praying for every single person affected by this storm. What we are seeing out there is absolute tragedy, and it seriously makes my heart break. Alright everyone, until the next video, I will talk to you all very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
See all that information right there? And it goes through all of it right here. Now, this is what Doppler's able to do. It's on record. Foreign governments brag how they do it in like Dubai, China, you name it. How they can make the hurricane spin faster, how they can make it spin slower, how they can make it dump rain where they want. Here they are in figure 3, directing the hurricane. Oh, where do we see that? right where they want it. They can create hurricanes. They can weaken them, strengthen them. They can kill them. They can direct them. And what does Bill Gates say? He wants to control hurricanes. He wants to block out the sun. He wants to do all of this crap. And it's all in the patent right here that you can read in the different figures and how they're able to do it. Why don't you guys queue up Brennan, the former head of the CIA at the time? He was CIA director in 2015. He gave this speech, and he talks about how the UN and others in the U.S. government have weather control, but they try to keep it quiet because they don't want people to know they have it. And that's him at the Council on Foreign Relations. You just type in CIA director admits chemtrails or weather control. And there he is, Council on Foreign Relations, saying it all. We'll play that in a moment, but this is so big, I'm going to shoot a special report on it today that'll be at Infowars.com, band.video, and, of course, Real Alex Jones on X. This is a big deal. Here is the CIA director at the time, Brennan, talking about this.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels. This process is also relatively inexpensive. The National Research Council estimates that a fully deployed SAI program would cost about $10 billion yearly. As promising as it may be, moving forward on SAI would also raise a number of challenges for our government and for the international community. On the technical side, greenhouse gas emission reductions would still have to accompany SAI to address other climate change effects, such as ocean acidification, because SAI alone would not remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. On the geopolitical side, the technology's potential to alter weather patterns and benefit certain regions of the world at the expense of other regions could trigger sharp opposition by some nations. Others might seize on SAI's benefits and back away from their commitment to carbon dioxide reductions. And as with other breakthrough technologies, global norms and standards are lacking to guide the deployment and implementation of SAI and other geoengineering initiatives.
And now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College of New York. Professor, nice to see you. Extraordinary seeing Al Gore and Bill Clinton there together with Charlie, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they did not get into this discussion, though. But it is fascinating. I mean, lasers, really, to change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning. Go ahead.
Well, this fascinates me in part because, too, I remember reading the stories that China had used this during the Olympics, that the USSR had used this after Chernobyl to create rain clouds. I mean, did those really work then? We have some of these capabilities now?
Inconclusive. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong. Governments have been playing with this thing.
Alleged to.
Alleged to, right.
Yeah.
Now, realize that for decades now, these governments have been alleged to have experimented with weather control, but nothing conclusive. This time we're bringing in the laws of physics rather than simply waving our hands and uttering mumbo-jumbo. We're actually using trillion-watt lasers now. And in the laboratory, sure enough, they precipitate rain out of water vapor. Sure enough, you can actually bring down electricity down the beam.
So what does it mean for drought areas that need to have rain for crops, and if they don't have them, there's the consequences of famine?
Well, the bad news is if it's a clear blue sky, it's not going to do anything at all, because it only takes water vapor that's already in the air and condenses it. However, for floods, for agriculture, farmers, for people planning wedding parties, football games, you name it, outdoor events and agriculture and flooding and even hurricanes, all of them could be subject to weather modification.
Incredibly interesting, Professor Michio Kaku. Thank you so much.